Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today I'm out here pulling the wire on a herd that we just moved, and it's just a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to be out on the land with your animals. You know, some people have jobs where they weld. Some people have jobs, they're doctors, and we need all these people. I'm just fortunate to be in the segment of feeding people. And it is a good segment to be in. You know, people still have to eat. And every day, people have to eat. And it's pretty rewarding to be able to produce food with sunshine and very, very, very limited fossil fuel. And so I think, you know, the grazing business, that's what we are. We're in the grazing business. And you know, when you can grow forage and food for your animals and learn to manage that forage in association with how well, you know, the environment is. In some areas, you may only be able to graze your farm once a year, like Arizona or, you know, one of the more brittle areas. I'm gonna pull these posts as I go. Here in Missouri, we're fortunate. You know, we're in a 38 to 40 inch rainfall. We can graze our pastures about 6 to 7 times a year, maybe even 8. It just depends how much of the forage that we're removing. So we were here 60 days ago, and you can see how much forage is in here. There's a lot. Now, some of it hasn't grown back to a tip, but most of it has. And the animals, it's all been cleaned up. We've had, since they've been here, probably close to 3 inches of rain. And so the rain cleaned up all the cattle smell. Here's actually a cow manure spot from 60 days ago. Okay, that's how quickly we've come back. Now, if it had been summertime, earthworms super active, that manure pat would probably have been gone by now. But you know, that bull thinks he's in heaven right there. You know why? He's grazing, and he's getting a little bit of clover. He's getting some Kentucky 31 fescue, and he's picking up probably a little bit of orchard grass here and there. And he's a pretty happy camper, aren't you, buddy? 8-14 year Butte. I like that bull because he's got a lot of attractive features. One is he's got a big gut. He's not too tall. He's not too long. He's got a manly looking neck on him, and he's got a really nice set of testicles. Shaped about right. They're not hairy. He doesn't have any teats on the testicle. And the sheath underneath his belly where the penis resides is not long and hairy. You don't want a big old long hairy sheath on the bull. All that's going to do is pick up cockleburrs and dirt, and a good way to get infection in your bull. It's a trait. It's an inferior trait. You don't want that. Well, there's a nice one. Woo! He's gonna make a dandy. We've got a bunch of them. Here's another one. That's a cookie cutter of the last one. Yeah, he's gonna be a good one too. He's just a yearling. But you can see the power of the mob. So the animals walked up and down on this for 24 hours. We just gave them this strip, and it's unbelievable what they did. I mean, they laid all this forage on the ground. And so this will all get washed off. This will get rained on, snowed on. Cold weather's gonna hit it. And we won't be back here. Well, this is, you might as well say the 1st of December. You got December, January, February, March. So probably middle of March. So 3.5 months. And the grass will just be starting to get green. Be a little green chillers coming up. And folks, when you can leave this much residual out here on the land, you talk about spring green up. You are gonna have a ton of forage. Now, unfortunately, most of the pastures that I see at the end of the winter, or people that don't rotate or don't manage their grass, look more like that. You know, there's nothing there. versus this. Look at all that carbon, all that beautiful litter bank. Folks, the earthworms, you got to remember, not only are you feeding your animals that are grazing, you're also wanting to feed the animals that are living under our feet. So if you can get to that point in your grazing operation, you may be overstocked if you can't get to that point. You got to get to here. You got to get to here. And if you don't get to here by laying all this stuff on the ground and giving a good recovery period in between, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle growing a lot of grass. And I am so excited how this is going to look in the spring. I can hardly contain myself. And there's weeds out here. You can see the weeds. There's Queen Anne's lace. I didn't brush hog this. This paddock was not brush hogged this summer. See the Queen Anne's lace right here? But boy, the birds are just all over in here eating the seeds. People go, oh, you got weeds, you got weeds. So, don't worry about it. Folks, there's never been a weed grown that eventually doesn't fall over onto the ground, get trampled. It's a source of carbon, and it ends up in the belly of an earthworm. And once it ends up in the belly of an earthworm, that pH is 7. Absolutely perfect. This is another reason I like to leave a few autumn olives out here. That's an autumn olive tree. It's an invasive species. There's 3 of them here. And there's another one. And there's another one. There's about 4 down this draw. I could easily go in there and cut those and, treat the stump or it wouldn't come back. But you can see what's happening here. The cattle like these things. They like rubbing on them. They like laying underneath them when it's a really hot day. And it is a legume. It's fixing nitrogen. I'm just not going to let them take over our farm. And autumn olives will take over your farm. So if you don't have them on your farm, you probably don't want to go in and plant them, because unless you're willing to really be on the ball, these things will absolutely take your farm. I can go and show you people that have done this. They don't control them, and that's all they've got is autumn olives. And it's not a good way to make a living on the farm, having 100% autumn olive, I can tell you that. But having a few of them doesn't hurt a blooming thing. But I'm going to tell you, this is, I like what I'm seeing here. There is a lot of good feed here, 60 days rest. There's clovers. See, we just had a killing frost this morning. 28 degrees, almost the 1st of December, and look at that. You know why that clover's still growing? Because it's insulated. There's a lot of fescue around it. It's not a pure stand of clover. So when our cows come in here, I'm just gonna, I guess I'll pull that off. I don't like to, but I will. Look at that. That's what our cows are eating this morning, folks. They're getting a little bit of dry matter. They're getting that clover. They're getting some fescue tips. It just doesn't get any better than that. And I've already noticed the seed. If you take your foot and spread open the manure pats right now, there's clover seed in them. Well, see, there's a dry clover plant right there. It's got seed on it, so those cows eat that. It ends up in the manure pat, and you've got all these manure pats around your farm. When you spread them open, there's clover seed in them. I'm going to see if I can see it on this one. Well, there is a beaut. It's got the nice little pond in it. I'm going to spread that dude open. Yeah, the sun's not right, but I did a couple yesterday, and you can see the clover seeds in them. Got to get it pretty thin. Ah, there's one. You can't probably pick it up with the camera. Sometimes you'll see 3 or 4 of them, and it depends on the forage they're on. Let's look at this one. Golly, that's beautiful stuff. I get excited about manure. I love manure. I love seeing good manure piles. And you know why? It tells me that the animals are doing well. Look at this one right here in front of us. This was plopped onto the forage this morning. Look at that. That's just beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh, man. I'm not going to spread that one out because they haven't grazed this yet. And they can get a couple bitefuls. If I spread that out, I'm going to foul that grass. I'm going to leave that one. But anyway, that's what we're looking at here is winter grazing, leaving a good residual, feeding the earthworms, making sure you don't graze it off too short, and move them. And move them. And by doing this, you can really do some well-earned finances by keeping a lot of the money in your pocket, because the animals will do the work for you. And any day you don't have to feed day, that's the money you're putting, that's money you're keeping in your pocket. And the animals, they're not really asking you to do that. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and everyone hit that subscribe button on the way out if you're new to the channel. I'd appreciate it, and hit that like button, and we're going to see y'all down the road.